Okay, welcome back to the Chapter 11 study guide for Algebra 2 Trig Honors. We are starting on number 12. So number 12 is graphing the system of the inequalities. So the first one we have is y is less than negative x squared plus 4. And then we have x plus y is less than or equal to negative 2. So the first thing is identifying what type of equation it is. My first one is a parabola, and I know that because of the x squared, and nothing else is squared. I know that my parabola is facing down because of that negative x squared, and so another thing that I know is where to shade. So because it's less than or equal to, and my parabola is facing down, well, less than or equal to is actually going to be inside the parabola, so we're going to shade inside the parabola. And then for my next one is a line. X plus y is less than negative 2. It's nothing squared. So that means I need to get it in y equals mx plus b form. So negative x minus 2. It's less than, so I'm going to shade below. And now I can graph. So I'm going to do the parabola in pink. And so with this one, again, it's facing down, but everything has been shifted up 4. So if my original vertex is at 0, 0, it's going to be shifted 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if I had it reflected, it would be, remember, it's going like this, so it would be at 1, negative 1. And so I'd move that up 1, 2, 3, 4, and reflect it over. And then with the next one, so it would be at 2, negative 4. So I'd shift that up 4, which would get me at 2, 0, and then reflect it. So then I can graph my parabola. Okay, and then I graph my line, which I'm going to do in orange. And so I start at negative 2, and then my slope is negative 1. So my slope, I would go down 1, over, down and over, and I can draw my line. Okay. So now once I have it, I just have to find my common shading area. So I am shading below my line and inside my parabola. So below my line and inside my parabola would actually be all of this region here. And that is it for number 12. Okay, so let's move on to number 13. Number 13 is really similar, except you have 2 lines here. So first thing I always want to do is get them in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm just going to rewrite them over here. And I'm going to start solving them for y. So I'm going to add 2x. Y is less than or equal to 2x plus 2. And then over here I'm going to subtract x. So y is greater than or equal to negative x plus 2. So now that they are in y equals mx plus b form, I'm just going to first write down where we're going to shade. So it's less than, so we're going to shade below, and greater than, which is shade above. Okay, so my first line, I'm going to do my first line in pink, so 2x plus 2, which means we start at 2, my y-intercept, and my slope is 2. So I go up 2, over 1, up 2, over 1, up 2, over 1, and I can graph my line. Okay, my second line I'm going to do in orange. I start at the same point because I have the same y-intercept, positive 2. And then my slope is negative 1. So down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1, and so on and so on. To graph my line. Yikes. Okay. There we go. now comes the shading. So it is below my pink line. So it's below my pink line. Oh, sorry, can't even see that. Below my pink line and above my orange line. So above, below my common shading area is this area over here. Remember, all I ask with your common shading area is that I can clearly see it. And it's clearly defined what is the common shading area. Okay, so on number 14, we have 4 different types of lines here. Two of them are, kind of our special lines. So we have x is greater than 0, y is greater than 0, 2x plus y is less than or equal to 8, and x plus 2y is greater than 2. Okay, so my first line, x is greater than 0. So x is equal to a number. Whenever x is equal to a number, that tells me it's a vertical line. And because it's greater than, now vertical is like this, right? And so because it's greater than, there's not really an above or below. So we have to think logically. So greater than, that's in the positive direction. So we're going to be shading right. When y is equal to a number, that gives me a horizontal line. Now horizontal lines, just like we're used to, so we're shading above. And then for these 2 lines, I need to get them in y equals mx plus b form. So I first just subtract 2x from both sides. And it's in y equals mx plus b form. And then with this one, I would subtract x, and then divide by 2. So I'd have negative 1/2 x plus 1. So with this one, I would shade below, because it's less than, and this one I'd shade above, because it's greater than. Okay, so with my first line, x is greater than 0. That's a vertical line when x is equal to 0. And so my vertical line when x is equal to 0 is right here. It is on the y-axis. And so then the next one, y is greater than 0. Well, that is going to be right here, actually on my x-axis. And then for 2x plus 8, I'm going to start at 8. My slope is negative 2, so down 2 over 1, and so on, and so on. I can graph my line. And then the next one, I'm going to graph in orange. So my starting point is at 1, and my slope is negative 1/2. So down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, and I can graph my line. Okay, now comes the shading part. So we are trying to shade, so first it's going to be just in quadrant 1, because it's to the right of this line and above this line, which is just in quadrant 1. And then we're below my pink line, so below my pink line and above my orange line. So my common shading area is actually going to be right here. This little segment there. And that does it for 14. Okay, let's continue on with 15. 15 is really similar. So I'm not going to write them all out separately. I'm kind of going to go over the first 2, of course, just review what we just did on 14. So x is greater than 0. That is a vertical line when x is equal to 0. So it is along my y-axis. And then y is greater than 0. That is a horizontal line when y is 0. And so it's actually my x-axis. So for my second two are lines, and I first need to get them in y equals mx plus b form. So I subtract both sides by x, and then on this one I'm going to subtract 2x and divide by 3. Negative 2/3 x plus 2. Okay, so with this one, it's to the right, just like it was above. And then it's greater than this line, so it's above the line. Now with this, we have less than, so it's below. And this one is also less than, so it's below the line as well. Okay, so I'm going to start by graphing negative x plus 4, which starts at 4. My slope is that negative 1, so I'm going to go down 1, over 1. Over 1, down 1, over 1. And then I can graph my line. Okay, then negative 2/3 x plus 2. I start at 2, and my slope is negative 2/3, so that means I go down 2 over 3. Down 2 over 3, and I graph my line. Okay, so now comes the shading part. So we're going below the pink, below the orange, but it has to stay in quadrant 1 because of these two things. So my actual shading area, common shaded area, is this really small segment in there. And so that is it. Okay, almost there, so close. We are on to number 16. 16 looks so familiar because it looks like every other problem that we just did. Okay, so I'm going to start off just the same thing. X is greater than 0 is going to be a vertical line at x is equal to 0, so it's on the y-axis. When y is greater than 0, it's a horizontal line. When y is equal to 0, so it's on the x-axis. And then the other two, I'm just going to get in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. And then here, I'm going to subtract 2x. I feel like this is really similar to the one we just did. Negative 2/3 x plus 2. Okay, so we are going to start just identifying where the shading is going. So because this is less than, we're going to shade below. And this is greater than, so we're going to shade above. Okay, so I'm going to shade this, or I'm going to graph that one in pink. So we start at 9. My slope is negative 3. So we go down 1, 2, 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. And I can graph my line. Ooh, that was not a good line. Okay, and then we are going to graph my other line, which is starting at positive 2. And it's a negative 2/3 slope, so down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3. And again, we graph our lovely line. Okay, so now is for our common shading area. So we are going above the orange, below the pink. So above the orange, below the pink, so my common shading area is this area right there. And that does it. Okay, so last problem. I will say this about 17. 17 is a very odd problem. I don't know why I did this problem like this, but it is odd, so I will say that. Your problem on the test is going to be very, like, much more similar to the problem that you guys have done in class with me. But we'll still tackle this one. So it says Josh has 40 minutes to complete a government exam. There are 12 multiple choice questions worth 5 points each and 5 short answer questions worth 8 points each. It takes Josh 2 minutes to answer the multiple choice questions and 8 minutes to answer to complete the short answer questions. Josh needs to figure out how many questions he should answer to maximize his score. There's nothing about this problem that I like. I'm going to change it next year, but, you know, little too late for that. Okay, so first thing, we are figuring out how many multiple choice and how many short answers questions should he answer. So x is going to be equal to my multiple choice, and y is going to be equal to my short answer. So the first bit of information that I'm going to use is this bit here. So Josh has 40 minutes to complete his government exam. And what goes with that is that it takes Josh 2 minutes to answer the multiple choice questions and 8 minutes to complete the short answer questions. So our equation from that is 2x plus 8y. So the time he spends, it takes 2 minutes for multiple choice plus 8 minutes for the short answer. That has to be less than or equal to 40. Okay, so there's 2 more equations actually, which is kind of weird, and I got that. The other ones is that there are 12 multiple choice questions. So he can't answer any more than 12 multiple choice. So x has to be less than or equal to 12. And then the next one has to do with, basically on the flip side, there are 5 short answer questions. And so y has to be less than or equal to 8. Now, we're looking at his maximum score versus like before we were looking at maximum profit. So I'm going to put S in here equals score. And we'll get to that equation in a second. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get this one in y equals mx plus b form. So I subtracted 2x from both sides. I'm going to divide by 8. So negative 1/4 x plus 5. And then these are already kind of good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first label my graph. So the bottom is going to be my multiple choice, and my side is going to be the short answer. And then the most important part about labeling is labeling your tick marks here. So I can actually go, because it's 5, 12, 8, I'm just going to go up by 1s. And so I'm going to just label that quickly. And I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Label it, go by 1s. Okay, so I'm going to start off by just graphing my line. I start at 5, and my slope is negative 1/4. So I go down 1 over 4, down 1 over 4, and so on until I get to the axis. Now remember, you're not going to continue your lines because there's no such thing as answering negative questions, which sometimes, you know, could prove me wrong, who knows. But so we're just going to keep our line within there, within quadrant 1. Oh man, I think I'm losing it at this point. Okay, so x is less than 12 is going to be a vertical line at 12. So it's going to be right here at 12. So we're just going to draw a vertical line that's like this. And then my last one, y is less than or equal to 8, is just going to be a horizontal line at 8. Okay, so now we have to figure out our shading area. So less than means below. Less than 12, so remember it's a vertical line, so we have to think kind of more like logically here. So less than is going to be to the left because that's the lesser numbers. And then less than 8, that means just below, which actually really doesn't help us much here because our common shading area is below the pink to the left of the orange. So it's in this region here. And so that's our common shading area. So remember, we're not done yet. We still have to look for the like how many questions he should answer to maximize his score. Now, of course, we're assuming that Josh, and for the 2 Joshes that are listening to this, we are assuming that you're getting them all correct. So maybe only one of the Joshes is listening to this, but we're assuming you're getting it completely correct. So we have total 100% faith in you. So we first want to start off with the equation for my score. It's just like profit. Maybe I was trying to get like fancy with this one and creative, but it just came out weird. But each multiple choice question is worth 5 points each. So that's going to be 5x. And each short answer question is 8 points each. Okay, so we need our points. And remember, we use our corner points of our shaded region. Now, one of my corner points is at 0, 0, but really, if he answers 0 questions, 0 multiple choice, and 0 short answers, he's obviously not going to have that high of a score. So, we have 0, 4. No, that is a 5. Where is my brain? We have 12, 2. And we have 12, 0. So I'm going to use all of my corner points, 0, 5, 12, 0, and 12, 2, to find out his maximum score. So the score is equal to, we just plug it in, 5 times 0 plus 8 times 5. So 0 plus 40. So we get 40. And then we plug it in again. 5 times 12 plus 8 times 0, which gets me a score of 60. And then 5 times 12 plus 8 times 2, which gets me a score of 76. So that gives me the highest between these three, 40, 60, and 76, which is getting me my maximum score. So his maximum score would be 76 if he answered 12 multiple choice, X is representing multiple choice, and 2 short answer, because Y is representing my short answer question. And so there you have it. That is your number 17. So hopefully that helped you guys. If you guys have any more questions, you guys can come in after school tomorrow or at lunch. So good luck.